So you want to go to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I highly recommend it. I had such a great time this year. I've been going for like 10 years. This is the first year I volunteered, and I just can't say enough good things about this wonderful festival. And I want to share with you guys all the stuff, all the yarn, all the sheep. Let's go ahead and jump in. So I do have some tips about going to the festival before I show my little haul, and I wanted to start with kind of my experience of arriving at the festival. So this has been the case every year that I've gone pretty much for the past like 5 years, where there is a crazy line to get into the festival Saturday mid-morning. So starting at around about 10 a.m. It can take up to 2 hours to get into the festival. So I would definitely recommend getting there early. There's only one basically entrance off the highway into the Howard County Fairgrounds. So definitely get there early. Definitely the gates open at 8:30. I got there around like 9:15 on Saturday this year. I had some friends that were arriving around 10:30 and they didn't end up getting into the festival until after 12:30. So that was 2 hours sitting along the side of the road in Howard County, Maryland, just waiting for that one traffic light to cycle through enough times that they could get their way into the festival. It's not because there's not enough parking. It's not because, the organizers of the festival have organized anything poorly. It's just because there's literally one traffic light that is on a rotation that allows only like 7 or 8 cars to go through every time, and you just have to wait your turn. And so as I was pulling into the line, where I still had to wait about 45 minutes, I got to the line around 9:20, and I didn't get into the festival until like right after 10 o'clock. So, that's still not ideal. Next year I'm going to try for even earlier, but it is very much kind of just how it goes with this kind of thing, where there's a lot more traffic flow to this kind of rural area than like there normally would be. So just definitely keep that in mind. Don't waste your beautiful Saturday sitting on the side of the road, and try to get there as early as you can. Tip number 2, I would say hit the merch merch booth first if you want a shirt. If you want a project bag, definitely make like a beeline for the booth, get there early. There's a whole barn that's dedicated just to merch from the festival. This is the project bag that I got this year. I'm wearing merch from like 2 years ago. This is the 48th annual. This year was the 52nd annual, so this shirt's from 4 years ago, but this is the project bag from this year. I was only able to get a project bag because I volunteered. So usually the way that it works is that the merch barn opens right at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, and by 9:30, like, the project bags are sold out, a lot of the sweatshirts are sold out, a lot of the kind of random tchotchke merch is sold out, and they really don't have a lot left by Saturday afternoon, even by Saturday at like noon. So I have gone so many years straight to the merch booth to try to get a project bag, and they were sold out. And the only reason I got one this year is because I volunteered, and the volunteers were allowed to shop Friday night after we were done volunteering, and I snagged a project bag for myself. But if you have anything other than like a regular old t-shirt on your mind, definitely go there first. Definitely prioritize the merch booth. There will be a line. There will be kind of like a snake line that wraps around. It might be like a 25-minute line. It is what it is, you know. It's worth it. But they also do a lot of times have last year's merch available. Last year, I bought a sweatshirt. It was cold. I was able to get a t-shirt from last year on sale this year. So they do basically sell out of everything from the previous year except like the regular old t-shirts. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're shopping and if you're interested in tees. They have baby stuff. It's really cute. Definitely prioritize the merch booth. Tip number 3, volunteering was so fun. You should definitely volunteer if you have any proximity to the festival at all where it's feasible. I live like 45 minutes away. I had so much fun volunteering. I met some really, really nice people. I was able to shop early, like I said, because I signed up for the retail booth. I had so much fun volunteering. I'm definitely planning to volunteer again next year. I really, really enjoyed being involved, and there's just a lot of familiar faces and a lot of familiar people who really love knitting just as much as me. So it was a really, really nice way to spend my weekend. My next tip is you are allowed to bring food inside. So the food inside the festival is fair food, kind of like munchy food, like fried potato chips, fried stuff, chicken tenders, that kind of thing, which I love a chicken tender, like, don't get me wrong, but it's insanely expensive. One thing of lemonade is $10. So if you go in with like a budget for yarn or for other kind of knitty stuff, fibery stuff, definitely pack a lunch. There were a lot of really smart people who, you can re-enter the festival, so there were a lot of really smart people who packed their lunches, and they had like little picnics going outside, like by the cars, where they would pop their trunk and have a little picnic. And it is a little bit cooler over there because there are trees and shade. And inside the festival, there's basically no shade at all. There's either inside the barn or you're like in the sun. And there's really not a lot of trees around the fairgrounds to like sit under. There's like several benches, but there's really not a lot of seating. There's like 2 benches per barn, and when there's 1,000+ people, that's not a lot of seating. So I would definitely consider packing a lunch or being prepared to sit on the ground for lunch, or just kind of being prepared for mud, kind of stuff like that, because it can get kind of mucky, and with all of the animal stuff going on, there's just a lot of like ick factor. Like, I wore my rain boots, which it doesn't bother me at all, but it definitely might bother some people. My next tip is definitely check out everything. There is so much to see at this festival, not just the sheep, which there are hundreds of sheep, not just the yarn, which there is so much yarn, but there's also a sheep to shawl competition on Sunday where they start in the early morning with shearing the sheep, and by mid-afternoon they have a completed shawl woven. There's also sheepdog demonstrations, which are so fun. There's so much stuff to see. There's a whole barn of home art stuff like sheep cheese and sheep ice cream and like fresh lamb, local lamb. There's vendors selling plants. There's natural dye demonstrations. You can sign up to take classes. You do have to sign up for classes and stuff like that in advance, but there are some demonstrations during the festival that are like free and anybody can fit. As long as there's like seating left, you can attend. But the classes are not free, they're paid for usually. But there's so much to do associated with this festival. There's also like a competition kind of where you can, just like at the state fair, you can enter your knits or your paintings of sheep and get them judged. There's a whole different barn that's just devoted to the breeds of sheep that are attending the festival, and there's like the prize-winning sheep and the prize-winning breed of the year, and there's demonstrations on spinning and demonstrations on shearing, sheep shearing, which is so fun. There's so much to do. You could easily spend, you know, from 9 to 4 p.m. 2 days in a row at the festival, which I did, and not run out of stuff to do at all. Let alone there's, I think, like 7 or 8 barns of shopping, plus all of the tents that they set up on the further hill. There's so much to see and look at. And the vendors are not just yarn and fiber and knitting stuff and spinning. There's also pottery and art and little trinkets and project bags and spinner, like e-spinners, electric e-wheels, and just everything you could possibly imagine they sell at this festival. There's finished knitted goods. There's, of course, fiber and yarn and spinning stuff and like honey and vintage booths. And there's just so much stuff to like potentially purchase and see that you could easily spend the whole day just looking at all the stuff for sale. All right, let's move on to the fun part, which is the stuff I bought. So this is my little haul section. I know some people hate a haul, but I feel like it's really cool to kind of show everybody what is available for purchase at the festival. Usually I also buy a lamb pie, which can be kind of like morbid, I guess, like to buy fresh lamb, but I usually love this one vendor. They have frozen lamb pies made from local lamb available. However, that's already been eaten, so I won't be showing that, but this is all the stuff I bought. So let's start with the yarn. This is the first thing I picked up. Last year, I made a shirt out of the yarn that I got from this booth. Pretty much immediately upon buying it, I cast it on. And so I made a beeline for this booth this year because I knew I wanted the same exact yarn again. The name of the vendor is Carodan Farms. I hope that's not backwards. And this is the Chincoteague collection, the Chincoteague Colors Treasure Collection. And it's 50% silk, 50% merino. And this colorway is called Island Bluet. And it is stunning. So yeah, if you're local to here, you've definitely probably seen the bluebells before. There are hundreds and thousands of bluebells along a lot of the paths here, like the Rock Creek path, and just all throughout kind of rural Maryland and Virginia. There's these bluebells that are like a carpet of this beautiful color. So they got the color perfect. And I wanted 2 skeins to make perhaps the same exact project I made last year, perhaps a slightly different project, but a similar like lace tee with 2 skeins of yarn. And I really can't recommend this booth enough. This yarn, so something I did notice this year was that a lot of the prices have gone up, which is to be expected given like the state of the world. But this booth did not raise their prices. So these were $24.95 each for fingering weight, superwash merino, and silk. And I felt like that was a very good deal. And this is the little descriptor of the colorway. So I really can't recommend this booth enough. They do sell out. So that's another thing that I probably should have mentioned a little earlier, is that most of these booths sell out of their stuff. Like if you go Saturday morning and you see something you like, buy it, because it probably won't be there by Sunday afternoon. And that's great for all the vendors. It's awesome. But as a shopper, like you don't have a lot of time to sort of agonize over your purchases, which is something I do enjoy to do, is agonize over my purchases, which I was not afforded that luxury this year, but that's okay. I ended up with some really beautiful stuff. So the other yarn that I bought is the same color almost. It's not quite the same color. This is more purple and this is way more blue, but this is from Cece's Wool. And it is a crazy yarn I've never seen before. So it is this cashmere and linen blend, and it is 4 ounces, and it is, I mean, cobweb thin. So it is so thin. that it is 1,750 yards per 100 grams. And I thought at first I read it wrong and it was 750 yards, but no, it's 1,750 yards. So it's like, I'm trying to pull one apart. It's like literal thread. I mean, thread. And the reason that I purchased this, some other parts of this festival that are stunning are all of the samples. Here we go. So this is how thin it is. It's literally thread. Some other parts of this festival that are gorgeous are all the samples, and I am not usually like a sucker for a sample, but this year I was. And so this yarn was used in a Locatelli pattern, held double, and they had a couple samples of the pattern there, and it blooms so gorgeously, where I think you can kind of tell there's like two plies, and one ply is the cashmere, one ply is the linen, and the white ply is the cashmere, and it blooms to probably like quadruple the size of this thread. So holding it double, you really can get a lot of bang for your buck, where again, like in terms of affordability, these skeins were $28 each. I got two because I'm obviously planning to hold it double. It's way too thin to knit on its own. And this is enough to knit an entire garment, an entire perhaps long sleeve sweater. So the sweater I'm working on right now, the fingering weight sweater that I have been working on for like a month, is I have 1,600 yards of fingering weight yarn. So I have enough here in these two skeins to knit an entire long sleeve sweater, which is crazy. Definitely really good bang for your buck, for sure. Oops, hello, boo. The next booth I went to is Kelsey Wales, and she has such a crazy booth. I loved it. I really wish I had taken a video of it, to be honest, but she sells, I guess like trinkets is the best way to describe it. She sells little charms and little resin like guys, basically. So I got 3 this year. I got a little chicken. So cute. It has feet. How adorable. Little feet. I got a black cat because I think you just saw her. I have a black cat. And I got the opossum because it was so silly. Look at his little face. He's so silly. His little face. And I have gotten these from her in the past, and I made them into stitch markers using these little tiny jump rings. I don't know if you can see that. It's like just a little jump ring, like for a keychain, but a tiny one. And they're perfect for stitch markers. I really, really, really love her booth. She has bigger little guys too, like for display on a table or something. And I hope one day to buy one of them, but I did not this year. I think these would make really cool earrings too. They're kind of a little heavy for earrings, but wouldn't that be such a cute little earring, this little possum? Look at his little face. So what do you think, boo? So I really enjoyed her booth. She's really fun to talk to also. So I can't recommend her booth enough. Her Instagram is also really fun. I followed her last year because I got like a couple of beetles from her booth, and I really just loved them. So I wanted to go back. I forgot one of my yarns. So the last yarn that I got is this. This is a massive ball of yarn. It is 1,400 yards. It is 7 ounces. It is, here's the tag. It is from Spinaway Farm. And if you have been to this festival, or basically any of the local festivals to me, like the Alpaca Festival or the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival, you would have seen these yarn babies before. This guy comes to a lot of the festivals, and he does they're like half off for the festival. So this says $60, but I don't really know like what that means. I feel like probably it's not actually half off. This was $30. It is a boucle yarn, and it's a really curly, corkscrewy kind of boucle yarn where it's not like the indie dyed boucle that you see a lot of the time where it's like puffy. This is really thin. It's like mohair, but instead of being fluffy, it's like curly Q. So I'm hoping that I can use this yarn to knit a cardigan. like held double with obviously another yarn. It's not honestly super soft, but it is very squishy. So I think at a loose gauge, this would make a delightful cardigan. And I really, like I said, my budget was a little different this year than it has been in previous years. I think that's true for a lot of us. And I haven't purchased this like Yarn Baby bulk kind of discount yarn before, but it really was just calling to me this year. This color is really beautifully variegated, and it was much more solid than a lot of the other colors that he had. He had like a neon pink and orange one, but I just went kind of practical and chose grayish blue. And okay boo, please leave, boo. Yeah, so that's this yarn. That's the last yarn I bought. I went to one more booth, and it is a booth that I also regularly frequent, basically at every festival I go to. I really love this booth. So this is from Cottontail Farm, and they're located in Virginia, and they have such adorable bags for sale. This is their little logo. I think you can see it right there. And her handiwork is amazing. These are all hand sewn bags, and I just love her booth. I love her booth. And every year I've gotten a bag from her pretty much. And I also this year picked up something a little more unique. And this is a little loom. So it's a tiny, teeny little loom, and it comes with a mini skein. And it's basically just, you're able to weave this tiny little square. And I really just loved it. It was 20 bucks. So I just kind of bought it on a whim. I really, really like how it looks. I really like the concept of making tiny loom art. I've seen other people on YouTube use these before, and I'm just like really excited. I have a vintage sewing machine that I'd really like to make sort of a fabric cover for, like a big rectangle to cover the top of the wood, because we put stuff on it. And I was thinking that this might be a great option to piece together a bunch of these and make like a little basically rug for the top of my vintage sewing machine. I really am excited to try this sort of offshoot from knitting, and this was only 20 bucks. So I felt like that was a good price. So then just in terms of pricing, this was, I think, 28 bucks. So that was my whole budget for the festival. I really am excited to start this. So this is definitely going to be something that if you watch my podcast, you'll see in the works soon. And you can use fingering weight yarn, but you can also use thicker weight yarn. The little slots are kind of narrow, so I don't think you could do like a bulky, but you could definitely do like a worsted weight. I'm just going to use my scraps and also this mini skein in here, but I'm really happy with all my purchases. I feel like in past years I've gone kind of like buck wild with my budget, and this year I really shopped with intention, so that's good. It's very easy to not shop with intention while you're there. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.